Have you ever felt like reality is trying to speak to you in secret? Like the universe is weaving symbols, numbers, messages, and moments into your path, not by coincidence, but by design. You keep seeing 11:11 on clocks, the same song plays right when you need it, or a stranger says exactly what you were just thinking. And somewhere deep inside, you sense it's not random. This isn't just a weird moment. This is synchronicity. And if it's intensifying, there's a reason. You're nearing a quantum shift. But what most people don't realize is that synchronicity isn't just a cute spiritual wink from the universe. It's a vibrational signal, a feedback loop from the field of consciousness itself, telling you your frequency is aligning with a new reality. Quantum physics shows us that nothing around you is fixed until it's observed. And your internal observation, your focus, your emotion, your expectation is literally shaping the field in real time. So when synchronicities increase, it means you're no longer just reacting a life. You're starting to collapse possibilities into form. You're becoming a conscious participant in the quantum architecture of reality. But there's a hidden layer to all this. Not every sign is real alignment. Some are reflections of the old pattern, meant to test your discernment. That's why in this video, we're not just decoding what synchronicity is, we're going to show you the 3 unmistakable signs that prove you're not just wishing for change. You're right on the edge of a vibrational shift so real it could collapse an entirely new timeline into your life. This is not about superstition, it's about precision. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly how to recognize when the universe is preparing you to step into the frequency of who you were always meant to become. If that already stirred something inside you, don't just keep watching, stay tuned. Because what's coming next might change how you see reality forever. There's an ancient Hermetic principle that whispers, as within, so without, as above, so below. And for centuries, mystics, sages, and now quantum scientists have all circled the same truth. Your outer world is not separate from your inner vibration. But here's the part no one tells you. Synchronicity is not some magical force that happens to you. It's an echo, a mirrored signal that begins inside your electromagnetic field and ripples outward into the quantum sea of probabilities. That's right. Every thought you hold with emotion, every belief encoded with repetition, every subconscious assumption, you're broadcasting it into the quantum field like a frequency. And the universe, in its infinite intelligence, sends back the only thing it ever could: resonance. What you call signs or coincidences are actually reflections of your own frequency bouncing back from the holographic mirror of reality. But here's the kicker. Synchronicity increases when your internal system starts destabilizing from an old identity and attuning to a new timeline. Your old vibrational code is unraveling, your nervous system is recalibrating, and the field is beginning to reflect a shift that hasn't fully materialized yet, but is getting close. Think of it like this. Reality is updating around you, but it's not instant. It's layered, like a multi-dimensional echo chamber. So those repeating numbers, chance encounters, and perfect timing moments, they're not just fun anomalies. They're the ripples of a new self starting to surface. But only if you know how to read them. Only if you're present enough to feel what they're trying to show you. Because sometimes the signs aren't showing you what to chase, they're showing you what's ready to dissolve. And if you miss this part, you'll keep looping, mistaking resonance for direction. In the next segment, I'll show you how to tell the difference. But for now, let this land. Synchronicity is not an accident. It's alignment. And the more you listen, the louder the field responds. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be honest. Have you been working so hard to shift your reality, meditating, visualizing, saying all the right affirmations, and yet deep down, life still feels stuck? You scroll through your phone seeing others living the life you dream of. You light candles, you journal, you hope. But inside there's a quiet ache you don't talk about, the feeling that something isn't clicking. that no matter how hard you try, you're always inches away from the breakthrough. You've heard about manifestation, vibration, quantum alignment. You've even felt glimpses of it, but it fades. And you're left wondering, what am I doing wrong? Why is it working for them but not for me? If that sounds like you, you're not broken, you're not cursed, you're just in between frequencies. And the reason it hurts is because your old self is collapsing, but the new version of you hasn't fully stabilized yet. You're stuck in what physicists call a liminal state, a threshold between timelines. And in this space, synchronicity begins to spike, but not just to excite you, to test you, to ask, will you trust the shift or retreat into the familiar? This is where most people loop. They misinterpret the signs, think the timing is off, and go back to the frequency they're trying to leave. That's why the #1 sign that you're close to a quantum shift is also the one most people miss. And if you don't know how to recognize it, you'll unknowingly sabotage the timeline that's trying to land in your life. In the next section, I'm going to show you exactly what that first sign is and why it almost always shows up right before your biggest breakthrough. This is where it gets real. Stay with me. The first unmistakable sign that you're nearing a quantum shift is this: disruption of your old frequency. And let me be clear, it often doesn't feel magical, it feels messy. You might suddenly feel irritated by routines that used to feel safe. Friendships start to feel misaligned. You might feel unusually sensitive, even anxious or disconnected from things that once gave you comfort. But here's the value in that discomfort. It's not a breakdown, it's a recalibration. What's happening is that your nervous system is shedding the emotional code of your previous timeline. The frequency that used to feel familiar, even if it was based in fear, scarcity, or self-doubt, is being uninstalled. Your subconscious is trying to hold on to that code because it equated it with survival. But your soul, it's not negotiating anymore. It's choosing coherence. Now let's bring this into science. Dr. Joe Dispenza has studied thousands of brain scans and discovered that when people begin to imagine a new future with intention and emotion, the brain literally begins rewiring itself. The old neural pathways weaken and new ones begin to form. But here's the twist. The in-between phase, where the old brain patterns are dissolving and the new ones haven't stabilized yet, feels like chaos. Your body goes into withdrawal from old emotional addictions. Your mind scrambles for identity. And the universe? It starts sending synchronicities, not to confirm who you've been, but to call forward who you're becoming. This is why that spike in weird signs, strange timing, emotional waves, they're not glitches. They're invitations. You're not losing alignment. You're stepping out of autopilot. Your energy field is shifting and reality is beginning to reflect a version of you that your conscious mind hasn't even fully met yet. That's why if you're in this discomfort right now, don't quit. Don't interpret disruption as failure. Interpret it as signal. In the next section, I'll show you sign #2, the one that shows up not in your outer world, but deep inside your internal field. And when you feel it, you'll know. The quantum shift is already underway. The second sign that you're approaching a quantum shift is something few people expect, and even fewer know how to navigate. It's not more clarity, it's not more confidence, it's this: identity disorientation. Suddenly, the goals you were chasing no longer excite you. The roles you used to play, caretaker, achiever, rebel, the strong one, start to feel heavy, like borrowed clothes that don't fit anymore. You begin to question everything. Is this really who I am? Or is this who I've been conditioned to be? And this can be terrifying, because for the first time, the identity you've been observing reality through, the lens that shaped your entire life, is dissolving. And when your lens disappears, so does your sense of self. But let me tell you something that might change how you see this moment. This confusion is not a setback. It's evidence that your vibrational signature is no longer compatible with your old narrative, and that is huge. Quantum consciousness teaches us that identity is not fixed, it's fluid. You are not a solid object, you're a field of possibility, collapsing into form moment by moment, based on how you observe yourself. So when the story, "I'm not good enough," starts to fade, it's not a void. It's a portal, a space for a new signal to emerge. Neuroplasticity backs this too. As old thought patterns dissolve, your brain opens up to new neural networks, ones that didn't even exist when you were operating from the old self. But here's the kicker. During this transition, your system will crave familiarity. You'll feel the temptation to return to the version of you that made sense, even if it hurt. Because identity disorientation often feels like death. But it's not the end. It's initiation. You're not lost. You're between frequencies. You're not falling apart. You're unbecoming everything you thought you had to become who you actually are. This is why synchronicities show up more intensely during this phase, not to guide you back, but to keep you moving forward. To remind you, something higher is now observing life through you. In the next part, I'll show you the third and most mystical sign, one that doesn't come from the mind, but from the quantum field itself. And when you feel it, you'll know. The universe isn't just watching you shift, it's shifting with you. The third sign that you're on the edge of a quantum shift is the most subtle, yet the most powerful of them all. It doesn't come as a thought. It doesn't arrive through logic. It vibrates through you like a signal from a version of yourself you haven't met. Yet. This is what quantum scientists call resonant entanglement. In quantum physics, when two particles become entangled, they stay connected, across any distance. Change the state of one and the other responds instantly. Not metaphorically, literally. Now imagine this. Your highest self, your most aligned, abundant, peaceful timeline, already exists as a frequency pattern in the field. And as you begin to shift your internal state, through stillness, intention, surrender, you start resonating with that version. And without even realizing it, you begin to feel emotions that don't match your current reality. A wave of peace for no reason, a feeling of deep worthiness, even when nothing has changed, a sense that something beautiful is coming, and somehow, it already has. That's not delusion. That's alignment. That's your system picking up a signal from a future self that's already entangled with you. And the stronger your resonance becomes, the faster the field begins collapsing that timeline into form. This is why, right before a major shift, people often say things like, "I can't explain it, but I just know something's about to change." Because they're not reacting to the world around them. They're feeling the pull of a version of reality that's already real on the frequency level. The universe doesn't respond to hope. It responds to coherence. And when your heart, body, and energy begin syncing with that new self, even if your mind still doubts it, that's when the shift locks in. The collapse happens, and reality begins to reorganize. In the next segment, I'll show you how to take this signal, this entanglement, and consciously amplify it. Because resonance isn't something you wait for, it's something you can train. And once you do, the future doesn't just arrive, it responds. So how do you hold that signal, the resonance with your future self, long enough for the shift to fully land? How do you amplify entanglement until the field has no choice but to respond? The answer isn't about effort. It's about energetic fidelity. You don't need to do more. You need to become more consistent in who you're being. Here's where most people unintentionally break the signal. They feel the alignment in meditation, in a journal session, during a quiet walk. But the moment reality tests them, a message goes unanswered, a bill arrives, an old fear resurfaces, they revert, they forget. And the frequency collapses back into the old loop. But that doesn't have to be your story, because here's the truth. Resonance is a trainable state. You can literally condition your nervous system to remain in alignment with the version of you that already lives your desired timeline. Let's make it practical. Start each morning not with your to-do list, but with a question. What frequency am I choosing to embody today? Then close your eyes for 3 minutes, not to visualize, but to observe reality from the eyes of your future self. How would they breathe, speak, respond to today's challenges. That act alone tells the field, I am not waiting for change, I am becoming it. Throughout the day, use what I call quantum checkpoints. When you feel fear, pause and say, this is the frequency of the old me. I no longer tune into that station. Redirect, not by force, but by frequency. The more you do this, the more you stabilize the signal. And the more stable your signal becomes, the faster the quantum field mirrors it. Why? Because the field doesn't mirror your effort. It mirrors your coherence. And the moment your coherence becomes natural, default, unshakable, that's when reality bends. That's when the signs go from subtle to undeniable. That's when the timelines collapse. And in the next chapter, I'm going to show you what happens after the shift hits. How to anchor it, embody it, and keep rising with it. Because truth is, the real journey doesn't end with manifestation. It begins. Most people think that once the manifestation arrives, the journey is complete. The job lands, the relationship blooms, the opportunity appears. But here's what almost no one talks about. When the quantum shift finally lands, that's not the finish line. It's the initiation. Because your external reality may update quickly, but your nervous system takes longer. Your old identity, the one trained to struggle, to doubt, to expect the worst, still lingers like background noise. And if you're not aware, it will unconsciously pull you back into the frequency that created the old timeline. This is why so many people self-sabotage after receiving what they asked for. They think the blessing disappeared. But in truth, it was their inner frequency that drifted back. That's why anchoring is everything. When a shift hits, your job isn't to chase the next desire. It's to stabilize into the new self, who already has what you once thought was impossible. Let's ground this in quantum biology. The moment your nervous system experiences a new frequency, love, peace, abundance, it registers it. But unless it experiences it repeatedly, your body won't adopt it as the new baseline. Why? Because the brain favors familiar. The subconscious prioritizes safety over expansion, and expansion always feels unfamiliar at first. So how do you anchor your new identity? First, name it. Not as a goal, but as a declaration. I am the version of me who lives in alignment, overflow, and trust. Then, act from that version, even when it's inconvenient. Every time you hold that behavior, you deepen the neural groove of the new identity. You teach your system, this is safe now. Second, practice emotional recall. Close your eyes and remember how it felt the moment your shift landed. The relief, the joy, the knowing. Rehearse that emotion, not to fantasize, but to encode it into your physiology. This is what anchors timelines, not willpower, but emotional entrainment. Because in the quantum, it's not what you visualize that shapes reality. It's what you normalize. And in the next segment, I'll guide you into a practice that helps you do exactly that. One that takes all this theory and pulls it into your field, where the real transformation begins. Now that the shift has landed, now that you've tasted the energy of the future you, the only question is, can you stay there long enough for reality to catch up? This is where most people fall back into the old loop, not because they lack desire, but because they lack a ritual, a moment each day where they consciously reattune their frequency, not to what they see, but to who they choose to be. So here it is, the Daily Quantum Anchor, a practice designed to stabilize your signal in less than 5 minutes a day. Do it for 7 days straight, and you won't just feel different, you'll be different. Step 1. Before your mind reaches for your phone, reach for your field. The moment you wake up, before language kicks in, before memory reloads, ask yourself, who am I observing from today? Don't try to answer. Feel it. Tune into the version of you that already lives the life you desire. Breathe as they would. Let their energy override the identity you inherited from yesterday. Just 60 seconds. Step 2. Midday recalibration. Set an alarm or visual cue, your water bottle, a sticky note, a ring, and when it hits, pause. Take 3 conscious breaths. Place your hand on your heart. Whisper silently or out loud, "I return to the signal of my chosen self." This isn't affirmation, it's frequency correction. Step 3. Evening encoding. Before sleep, replay your day, but only the moments when you aligned with your new self. Even if it was just one breath, one choice, one thought. Feel gratitude for that evidence. This tells the subconscious, "This is who I am now," and as you sleep, your system begins reorganizing around that identity. This isn't performance, it's resonance. It's how you go from wanting change to wiring it in. Because when your nervous system starts to trust the new frequency, your energy field becomes stable. And when it's stable, the quantum responds, not randomly, but precisely. And what was once a vision becomes your new baseline. In the final segment, I'll bring everything home. We'll decode why this isn't just a technique. It's a remembrance, a return, and how to keep rising with a community who lives from the same signal. So here we are. 10 minutes ago, you were just watching a video. But now you remember something ancient, something cellular, something your rational mind couldn't explain, but your field always knew. You are not here to chase the future. You are the frequency that calls it in. You are not broken. You're simply shifting. You are not separate from the life you desire. You are entangled with it. And every breath, every thought, every time you choose the new self instead of the old program, you send a ripple into the field that says, "That version of me is alive, that timeline is real, that reality is already forming." You don't need to manifest harder. You need to stabilize deeper. You don't need to earn alignment. You are alignment. That's the final shift. You stop asking when will it happen and you start declaring, "I am already it." And the universe, it stops testing. It starts reflecting. So here's what I invite you to do. Not as a follower, but as a transmitter. In the comments, type this one phrase: "I am the signal now." Not for me, not for anyone else, but as a marker, a pulse, a declaration in the field that a new version of you just went online. And if you want to keep walking this frequency, if you want more than content, if you want coherence, subscribe. This isn't just a channel, it's a field. A space where quantum thinkers, feelers, builders, and visionaries come to remember who they actually are. Because the truth is, this shift wasn't random. You didn't stumble here by accident. You were called, aligned, synced. And now you know why the synchronicities were increasing. Now you know why the old timeline started to crumble. You're ready, not someday, now. You are not watching the signal anymore. You are it.